Chapter 12 The Magic Festival. It wasn't difficult to find the Boleas Guild. Just like everything else in the capital, it was much larger than things back in Evergreen. Sorrel managed to correctly remember the name of their hometown, at least. The employees seemed a bit surprised when Sorrel claimed he was there for a quest, but once they saw the box, they immediately processed everything. They paid the amount in full, and when Sorrel asked about the festival, they explained the quest was to be processed under trust, and that the magic festival had mostly been included for his benefit anyway. After they left the guild, it was still barely midday, with 3 more days after that until the festival. Now what? Sorrel asked. Now we explore like any other tourist, Rouanet told him. The festival itself is nice, but it brought all sorts of extra businesses and things to do. We should take advantage of that since we're here. Sorrel liked the sounds of that. All right, but I probably shouldn't use my pocket out in the open. I forgot about the fact you store things in there, Rouanet admitted. Don't worry, this is mostly for exploring, not actual shopping. Though we might have something tasty while we're at it. One thing there was no shortage of was food and tasty things. For every magic-related stall, there were at least 3 of food. But some food stalls were magic-related as well. Potions that made you float for a few minutes, spicy sticks that gave you the ability to safely breathe fire. There were even some candy clouds that rained syrup, but those seemed a little, no, very messy. It almost felt like the festival had already begun, a sort of pre-festival gathering of merchants and stalls. Sorrel noticed many of the stalls had this name Boleas attached here as well. Just how big was this company? The first day, they spent their time buying tasty food with various magical effects. Sorrel saved what could be saved for later in his pocket, when he was certain no one was looking. The fire stick was especially fun. It would be amazing to make things like this one day. The next day, they explored the more magic-themed shops full of crystals and charms and ancient scrolls with replicas of magic and recipes in an old tongue found in ruins. There were also some toys and tricks and enchanted jewelry. The enchantments were mostly for one-time use, defense, or healing, though there was a certain popularity for those enchanted with light magic. Sorrel got himself one of the latter, remembering his time in the Mind Snake Cave. It had been his own mistake, entering unprepared. He likely wouldn't have gotten anywhere without the glowing moss. Rouanet picked one of each on the defense and healing, and picked up a necklace that was said to be a lucky charm. She also picked up some elemental crystals and asked Sorrel to store them in his pocket later for emergencies. On the third day, they saw the preparations for the real festival begin in earnest. Stages being built, pathways lit with some form of glowing twine. The roads were also packed full of people, far more than the 2 days previous. It was a bit hard to move, so they spent their time in the inn and discussed what might be coming the next day. And then came the day itself, the Magic Festival. The stalls from the previous days were still there, but what really drew Sorrel's attention were the demonstrations. They took place everywhere. Stages, storefronts, right in the middle of crowds, without warning. Every last one of them was displaying some kind of magic for all to see. There were the classic elementals, earth, wind, water, and fire. There were those who went a bit beyond, using ice to make beautiful sculptures, or lightning dancing around them like a dangerous light show. A small group of people with green wings that resembled dragonflies used their magic to fill the roads with flowers, vines, and leaves. Are those fairies? Sorrel asked with excitement. They are, Rouanet replied. You'll see them more in larger cities. Well, maybe not forest fairies like them. They might only come to places like Elgrove that have a history of worshipping nature. Did that mean they worshipped nature? Before Sorrel could ask, a large boom drew his attention. One of the performers had used magic to alter their size, breaking through the pathetic wooden cage that had contained them. Everyone was all smiles, so it was part of the show. The festival was chaos. Things were happening everywhere you looked, not a single nook or cranny left behind. Sorrel loved it. He pulled Rouanet deeper into the crowd and joined in the festivities. There were games, dancing, tests of magic, even more shows, and samples of the magical merchandise they had purchased the days before. Free samples. Sorrel felt a bit cheated by that, but it was too late now. Instead, he put his all into participating in various competitions. He didn't win them all, but he got a fair share of prizes and split them with Rouanet. Ruene didn't participate in any, and when Sorrel thought about it, he'd never seen her using magic at all. Everything she had done was made with tools and charms. She still seemed to be enjoying herself, though. There was a slight problem that Sorrel had not anticipated with winning a lot of prizes. He became popular, a spectacle. The crowd pushed him into other games, and finally ended in the magic arena. Sorrel was vastly unprepared for a magic battle, but he had wanted to test his shield against a real opponent. When Sorrel was pushed into the ring, he looked up to find his opponent was a rather masterful-looking woman in mystical robes. He had definitely bitten off more than he could chew. However it happened, he still wanted to test his new magic ideas, so he consented, and the match began. The woman did not hesitate to throw a spell at him. It looked like a little purple ball of sparks that Sorrel definitely did not want to touch him. He summoned the shield he had created during their travels and braced for impact. An impact that didn't come. Instead, it almost looked as if the shield ate his opponent's magic, little veins of the same purple appearing and disappearing for a moment. The woman didn't like that at all, and did some sort of double casting. The ground had an odd stickiness to it all of a sudden, and the invisible attack she sent at him knocked him down with ease. Since he couldn't see it, he didn't know where to block. To solidify her win, she used gravity magic to prevent Sorrel from getting back up again. His ego deflated, Sorrel left the arena. Every time he thought he knew how magic worked, he found something new beyond his current comprehension. He decided he needed to get right on that magic course once he returned to Evergreen. "Welcome, everyone, guests from near and far," a voice boomed, amplified by magic to fill the streets of the festival. "As night falls, we would like to draw your attention to the most special show we have prepared. We call it the Aurora."